All right. Hello, everyone, and hello, Guillory. Hi, Guillory.
Hey Beth, how you doing?
Good, good. It's so good to see you. And I am super excited to have you as our featured entrepreneur for the month of November.
Woo! Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. I'm just elated just to be able to have another opportunity for us to get on the call and this meeting, and just glad to also be going to be featured on the business for the month. So thank you for nominating me.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely welcome. And what I'm so excited about is you are doing some really big things that I think people are going to really benefit from you when they hear what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's going to really help them take their businesses to the next level. So before we get into that, though, I would like to introduce you. That's okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, of course. You're welcome. So, Guillory Smith Brutus, he is the founder of Build Your Own Narrative LLC, which is a professional and personal development company helping young professionals and business owners with enhancing their brands through social media marketing. But that's not where it stops. Guillory is also a leader and board member of Change for Haitian Youth Incorporated, which is an organization whose mission is to emphasize and empower the lives of Haitian youth in Marchand Dessalines by providing them with adequate resources to become successful. So you're in the nonprofit space on an international level, which is amazing. And I would love if you would tell the world, all the world around who's in business, all the world business owners, more about who you are as a businessman and in the nonprofit space, what is inspiring you.
Wow, what an introduction.
Your bio.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, I am so grateful to be here again, and I'm just excited. Honestly, you know, I've been in the nonprofit space for however many years, and I never really thought of it as being part of this such huge industry until I started getting more involved in throughout the years. And I remember the very first time I ever even got to understand the concept of an organization that was doing something for others outside of themselves really gave me so much joy and just pure excitement to be able to help make a difference in other people's lives. And so it's funny, it goes back as far as in Haiti for me, because that's where it's all started. And when I was in school, honestly, ever since I was in Haiti, it was through the fact that I was able to do well in school and I was able to receive some scholarships in some capacity that had allowed me to begin that process. And really, when I got here in the US, that's where it all kicked in because a nonprofit organization took me in. And that had made a big difference in my life. I mean, even during the earthquake, UNICEF was part of a big global organization, which I was able to receive benefits from that were responding to the tragedy and the disasters that was going on at the country at the time. But I say all this to say is that the inspiration has came from seeing what it was like back home for myself as a citizen and had gotten to ultimately receive the experience of benefiting from others helping make a difference in the country to
Yeah.
a point where I got out the country. I realized how much of a blessing that I had already being in that environment outside of the benefits. And on top of that, were even so I received those blessings, and I felt that it was more of a compelling story for me to give it back to others.
Yeah. Wow, that's really powerful on several levels. Like one, you said until you though yourself, even though you had received some life-changing support through nonprofit organizations, you also one didn't realize how big or how much impact it could make on someone's life until you started working in that space yourself. And I think that's like so important for people to hear because sometimes people are so hesitant to start a nonprofit because they think, oh, it's too much work or whatever. But like the amount of change that you're going to allow someone else to have or experience for the better is is bigger than we can imagine. So we should just go for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's not about you. And part of that is one of the biggest things most people lose sight of because when you're thinking of trying to do some great things in so many ways and bringing change forward to help other people grow, what you'll realize is that throughout the process, those in which that need you to show up
Mm,
will have to count on you to do what you need to. So therefore, starting the organization, solving different problems is because you have a compelling story to be able to share with the world in which others people can benefit from. So
yeah.
that's the way I look at it, especially now.
Yeah. And which is really cool because you also have your social media coaching and marketing brand where you're coaching and helping people to tell their stories with build your own narrative. So like the storytelling and the nonprofit space, it really goes together because, well, you do need those donors, right? And you need that
Correct.
support in your nonprofit, but
Hmm.
like being able to tell that narrative and that story is so important. So I love how you're bringing the two together. It makes it very powerful.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And it's been such a blessing because it's something in which I've been bridging the gap on. And what I've realized is there's been so many things in which I could talk about all day that has getting me more excited about the future in regards to following a purpose and having to create purpose-driven brands in a
Yeah.
manner that help others to really solidify their message in regards to having an understanding from the business standpoint and
Mhm.
from the nonprofit standpoint, which they go hand in hand. And
Yeah.
using storytelling that only amplifies the other people that are going to be able to see the vision, believe more in it as much as you will also tend to look forward to ignite that vision. So it's one of those things where I'm grateful that now Build Your Own Narrative and Change for Haitian Youth are working in a capacity where ultimately we get to create something beautiful and magical that's going to be able to help make a big impact.
Yes. So I want to go a little further and explore this some more because there are many different moving parts to a nonprofit, to setting it up. It's a little different than just setting
Mhm.
up another type of company, especially when it's a nonprofit on an international scale, like on a big scale, like you're doing. So I'm curious if you would share some tips through sharing some of the challenges that you have problem solved in this adventure of building the nonprofit and um, just to not just in a nonprofit area, but just in general, even on the international level. Like, what are some tips for success and challenges and how to problem solve those?
Absolutely. Oh my God. There's so many opportunities, is what I'd like to call them, within the nonprofit space that will open your mind when it comes to problem solving. And one of the biggest ones that happen early on is having to have a team of people that believe in you just as much in the vision and the mission and what you're doing. Because that will help drive it forward. I honestly tell others that I play a small part in the organization.
Mhm.
The real geniuses are the team members and founders of the organization that have been able to make this come to what it is. And I couldn't be so much more happy to be part of a great team. And they're all women, amazing women that have gotten their doctorate degrees. Currently, also some are getting the master's degrees. And it's just amazing. And for me, one of the beautiful part of having to explore such opportunities is also understand how do you navigate between what one person, a board member, may want to communicate to another. How do you actually come together on executing on certain projects in which you may want to work towards for the organization, and ultimately getting to have a harmony that's going to help you grow and those mindsets to really be worked upon. And so, therefore, as far as being able to understand what it's like to work in a team is one of the biggest opportunities I think most nonprofits tend to realize early on, because if you don't have that nucleus
Yeah.
put together, you're gonna crumble along the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what how all the great civilizations have fallen is they were divided. But when we are unified, literally, I mean, even that's a biblical principle, but unification,
Mhm.
when we are on one accord, there's like nothing that can get in the way. So I think the fact that we're talking about communication, I'm guessing that means you can't have your ego in the mix when it comes to teamwork.
Absolutely, absolutely. All of that has to be out the door.
All out the door. It's really not about you. It's about the group, the mission, and the people you're serving, right? That's the focus. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's the main thing, because that's how you get to execute on the projects in which you're looking for, because ultimately you have to put yourself aside and recognize this is no longer about you. Because once you commit into something of that magnitude, then it becomes your responsibility. Now, there's changes that happens organizationally, structures through operations, how you set certain things, of course, where people may find themselves in situations where they may need to step back or navigate to a different opportunity. Yet, what I do believe drives it forward is understanding that if you have a passion and a purpose to fulfill a mission in which that's been assigned to you, part of those responsibilities will help take care of the operations and everything else. Because there's been so many other challenges where at times we couldn't really get to make anything happen. Every time we took a step forward, we ended up having to take two-step backwards or three-step backwards. And especially during COVID, like most organizations or businesses, was something in which that was impacting everybody. And we couldn't have any fundraising opportunities. We couldn't really have the work get to do in a way that we would love to be, yet we never stopped. And that was one of the beautiful things that helped us through. We still had the program running in Haiti at the time, and we were still hosting events that were able to have us get the opportunity to fundraise. But ultimately, what did make the biggest impact was our ability to come together and
Mhm.
understand that it was no longer about us,
Yeah.
and that if we wanted to make an impact on other people, we had to remain true to that focus.
Yeah. And I think that that happens because you were saying, oh, that we can't do this and we can't do that during I call it the plague, but during COVID. So
Right.
yeah. So I think that what you did though was you kept going. So it's almost like as a team, you came together with no excuses. All right, well, we can't do this the way we wanted to do it, but how can we do it a different way? And by doing that a different way, you were able to still help and support people in Haiti. Like you didn't just leave them hanging, like you were still there supporting them, which is so important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was something we had to realize early on, because once we made that commitment and knowing that we were going to be dealing with some things we never had encountered, I mean, no one had ever experienced something like COVID before, and especially that magnitude, but we just had to figure it out and pivot along the way. and stay true to what we were doing. And
Mm.
even when we may have gotten our own discouragements, but we never let that stop us. So that was a big pivotal part for us during that process.
Commitment. I love that commitment. Like committed even in the, oh my gosh, what am I going to do times.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Staying the course. So, perhaps we have talked a little bit about this, because you have shared, the importance of teamwork and the commitment and like still pushing through. But what is your biggest factor in for your success so far as a businessman, do you think?
That's a great question. That's one in which I would allude it to my faith.
Mm,
Honestly, there is nothing but the conviction in which I've had to develop
mm,
and my faith in a manner where I just had to rely on God in every way possible. Now, I know whether or not others may share different beliefs to their own faith in respect to wherever their beliefs are, but personally, for me, uh, my faith in God carried me through along the way, and not giving up because no matter what the challenges were, I still kept on going. And so those one of the other things in which I had to realize earlier on, and that's where all of it came from. So it's faith and the ability to never give up and know when to also pivot and
mm,
ultimately make changes,
mm.
and having to also rewrite the story in the manner that would allow you to know that the path that you want is the path that you're meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, they say there's no do-overs in life, which I would agree with, but at the same time, uh, when we write our own narratives, writing, there's drafts, right? There's the rough draft,
Mm.
there's the second draft, there's the third draft, and the fourth draft, and it keeps going. And then at the end of our lives, we have a whole novel, we have the whole book. But
That's right.
I think that there is something to be said that sometimes we feel like we're a failure because the thing is not going the way we're
Mm.
wanting to write this story to look a certain way, and like there's these plot twists, and faith is a way that you can keep going. I think it does tie in because we can get discouraged, especially when it's a failure or a like really big roadblock. And then our faith of like, no, I remember when you spoke at the Black Business Connector Minding My Business brunch, you said that as a result of having survived the earthquake, you knew you were here for a reason. So like that faith of, okay, well, this isn't working, but how am I gonna how should this next draft look? And still, I think that faith and that belief you're here for a reason is a really powerful mindset.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You're right there on the money. And, it's one of those things, man, I've had to learn how to fail forward so many times
Feel
because,
forward.
honestly, there were so many times when I just didn't know how I was going to make it. And I was just asking myself, like, God, what I also had discovered with regards to the experience in Haiti, and recognize that, yes, that was the purpose that was being developed, and a manner that would allow me to recognize, given a second chance at life, those do-overs, you don't have them. And if you get to receive an opportunity to
Yeah.
right the wrongs and get to execute on how it's supposed to, ultimately God will guide you in doing so.
Mhm.
And, there are times in the path where if you have to take a left turn instead of a right turn, I mean, you may still get to your destination,
Yeah.
but just because you took a longer route doesn't mean
Yeah.
you are deemed a failure. And regardless, embrace that part of it. And we got if it meant that you needed to learn it over until you get it, that's another thing. And if it didn't come out to be how you wanted it, also recognize that there's an opportunity there for you to explore something else for you to discover.
Yeah.
So, um, and it's one of those things that I'm just going to always understand and look to spread as far as helping others to embrace those things too, because there's going to be tough times
Yeah.
and you just have to get through it.
Yeah. You have to keep
You
going
know?
and
Is
see it as an opportunity. Uh,
exactly, exactly. It just like how we talked about it from the earlier on. You see, I've never even used the word challenges in that conversation. Just recognize that being an opportunity, just because
Yeah.
that's how I want to look at it.
Yeah.
Any opportunity that comes in is for you to discover something else.
Yeah. It's part of building your own narrative around
Exactly.
opportunities.
Correct.
Yes. Woo! Maybe this is like a new tagline. I think we should put this on a t-shirt, Guillory.
Listen, Beth, I'm with you. Right, that right there, that's a moment. I want to clip that. I want that clip right
Oh,
there,
I'm
so
gonna
we
send
can.
you the whole thing. You're gonna have
Okay, beautiful,
a whole bio.
beautiful. This is amazing because yes, say it one more time. When you say it, it sounds
Oh,
good.
okay. Well, you were saying opportunities and build your own narrative. You're writing opportunities. That's
Just
part of
like
building your
building on
narrative.
evidence. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And I'm gonna add one more thing to that, and we
Oh,
can look into how we make that into an actual t-shirt, actually. Strictly in your own terms. So yeah, building your own narrative. It's like writing an opportunity in your own terms.
yeah.
There it is.
Your own
That's it.
terms.
That
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's in there.
oh,
What
oh,
did we
oh.
do right
If
there?
this was snaps.
Fire. This should be like a fire emoji right there. I
Yes.
love it. I love
So, what does the next level of success, or maybe what does the next level of
it.
opportunity look like for you?
Yes, of course. Right now I'm so excited because I'm working on an event that I am hosting in December 14th and co-hosting it with a good friend of mine that is also igniting her own vision into a life transformational coach. And so therefore, as far as being looking into the next level of success, this is a launching pad to that because ultimately what the purpose of hosting this event is to bring a group of people in community, like-minded individuals that want to grow and take themselves to the next level just as much themselves to be able to recognize they have an opportunity to ignite their vision and share it amongst the community as they also get to have a good time, get to know other people, get to be able to enjoy the experience and in an exclusive manner that they recognize they get to share that with amazing individuals like themselves. And so,
Mm,
as far as being able to use that as the gateway to launch the next level of success for myself and as well as the community of people there in a way that regardless of what the project you're working on, you have a group of people that's going to be there for you and a group of people
mm,
that's going to be you can count on as a way to connect with them. And that's the purpose is to build generational wealth and kicking that off with a group of people that's going to be able to also help and take their visions to the next level. And so when I look at it by sharing more into what purpose-driven branding looks like, what
mm,
building one's narrative looks like, brand your narrative change the courses, recognize that you have an opportunity to brand your narrative for change. And so this is the marinated bridge that's being cultivated right now between Change for Haitian Youth and Build Your Own Narrative, but more so importantly, within the nonprofit and the business space and the manner where we want to be able to provide a more opportunities as well for people, especially small business owners that want to write their own narratives, but and also you have a purpose. For example, having
Mhm.
other organizations they want to support, regardless on that, if it's about education, about bettering other people, personal development, and solving some problems that's going to make an impact. And
Right.
so, therefore, even if it's a donation, even if it's going to be through um, starting their own organization, or if it's going to be able to look into just having their employees take part of some of these volunteering opportunities, but attaching that organization that they care for to themselves in the manner where they know, okay, I want to support these
Mhm.
organizations. And here are a group of organizations I know out there, and here are a group of other individuals that have some similar visions and goals that we can come together and know that we've been able to have something like this where now we're helping our families grow and building that generational wealth long term. And so that's the big vision.
It's big. I
And
mean,
it's
so
a
many.
big vision, so many
Yeah, it's good
details
though.
into it. Yet I will tell you this much. If we're looking at it from 5 years from now,
Uh-huh.
I'd love for the organization to have a center in Haiti. I'd
Mm,
love for Build Your Own Narrative to have become an 8 to 9 figure or a global organization and community that's going to be able to make that impact because you need resources to develop to actually make the change that you need.
right.
And so, that's another thing. That's why it's important first to build that community because you can't do it
Yeah.
alone. And I've learned that the hard way. And so, and I want to share that with that community and making it possible. So,
Yeah.
um, God's will.
Yeah. It's so funny. It can be very tempting for us to do things on our own. Uh, but when we do, there actually is less opportunity for ourselves and others because what you're doing is you're building a couple different areas where you're helping both business owners who are like looking to expand. So you're with like, for example, the December 14th event, you're creating an opportunity, a space for another business owner to shine and launch her coaching business. So there's that opportunity for her to get a good start. And then you're also creating opportunities by the nonprofit to help people who may not have the resources in Haiti. You're bringing them the resources so that they'll be set up for success. And then once you're on a global level, right, you're also able to provide people maybe don't have time to or don't have interest in having their own business or going and doing the work in Haiti, but they still want to contribute. And so you're also providing opportunity for people to like bless other people with their donations. So it's like three levels of opportunity. So it's very exciting.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
3 levels of opportunities. Yeah. Honestly. And, Beth, it's the currency is human connection,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's relationships. And understanding the level of human connection that we need to have and the manner where we value those relationships even more are going to drive it forward because collaboration is at the essence of that. Because that's what you get once you have a solid connection with someone. You develop a relationship with that individual, and now you're able to collaborate and you invite others that want to do the same. And those are the 3 levels that you're talking about. Because now you get to have the human experience, right? And so that's the first level where you get to see the other people that want to launch their own business be at that same space. And then now you develop the relationships, you're around the community of people in which you then want to be around. And then as far as that, you allow it so that those in which have particular interest in others or different things that others may want, and you give them that platform to also get to experience that for themselves. So that what creates the collaboration. And somebody said, you know what, I'd love to work with you. I had that connection with you. Now we developed this relationship, and
Yeah.
now we're getting to collaborate on a project together.
Yeah.
And that's how the magic happens.
Yes, it happens. So, we've talked a lot about success, and we have talked also about failure. What do you think the secret sauce is that many entrepreneurs are missing, particularly entrepreneurs in the nonprofit space?
Oof. This is something even that I'm still working on. And
Okay.
I believe that as great as I've been able to develop my ability to become a better storyteller and a better speaker, in addition to that, a great human being, I think there's so much within those three core that I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the nonprofit space,
Hmm.
you have to go out and share that story so many times, you also have to learn how to story tell of different stories, and you have to be able to learn how to tell other stories for them as well, and give them the ability to tell that story.
Yeah.
So then you already see within one core, there's four different layers. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, be able to communicate and become the speaker that can, you don't all need to be speakers, but especially if you're going to be representing and dealing, I mean, even if it's presentations or whatever it may be, you need to be able to learn how to communicate more effectively.
Yeah.
And last but not least, being an actual good, great human being. When I mean, like, I want something by Gary V this morning that really warmed my heart. And one of those things, I felt like the little kid, he was talking to this little kid who had survived a tragic event in his life. And one of those things had gotten him to a level where he didn't think he was going to make it, and he survived. And he had a conversation, an encounter with that kid 5 years ago. And 5 years later, they met at another event. And he remembered the conversation he had with the kid. And the kid was like, oh my God, that made me feel so special that you remembered me. And the kid was about
Yeah.
11 years old, up to maybe now he's 16 or 17, and he's going to become a tall, grown young man. And that was so heartwarming because I told myself, wow, I am also that little kid, and I also want to be like Gary in a way where I touch the human heart, where they get to also feel that they can have the human connection in a manner that genuinely also re-energizes them, because
Yeah.
I think that's how God has been able to want his people to feel connected with others is
Yeah.
genuine relationships.
Yeah. Uh, wow, that's really powerful what you just shared because a lot of times we're thinking about telling our story, but what had to happen for the story you just told was Gary had to listen to that person. So it's also about success is also about remembering other people's stories, like genuinely just caring enough about people to remember their story.
Exactly. And that's basically the four level layers that we talked about earlier. Learn how to share your story, learn how to be able to tell other people's stories, and learn how to be able to give them the platform to share their stories.
Yeah.
You
Let
know?
get it out. That's part of healing too, especially if someone's
Mhm.
gone through like a traumatic thing. Like that is very healing. I mean, you want to be healed before you get on stage and start
Of
sharing
course.
your trauma experience. There has to be healing, but you know, I mean, crying in front of the audience and damaging them. But
Absolutely.
but still,
That's where you learn how to communicate effectively.
yes, yes, it's so important to give other people that space to
Of course, of
shine.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So, Guillory, how can people connect with you so they can get opportunities on opportunities on
of
opportunities?
course, of course. First off, fun fact, speaking of opportunities, really quickly, this is something I love because when I get to share that story, it re-energizes me too. Good friend that had came to one of my events had also an event that she was going to be hosting a few months later. And she only paid about $20 to get into my event, right?
Hmm.
And out of the evening, by the time in which she was ready to go home, she had made $2,000 in her pocket. She
Whoa!
she triple X that opportunity by coming into the event. So anyway, I say it just for the fun of it because it doesn't mean it's gonna happen to you or anybody or everyone else. But
Yeah,
that's what happens in the magic when you get around great and like-minded individuals, in
yeah,
which I'm so glad the community has been able to experience coming to my event. So
yes.
that's a fun fact. So if you want to connect with me, the best way to find me is going to be Build Your Own Narrative on Instagram. It's literally how it's spelled, Build Your Own Narrative. Guelory, which is my first name, Guelory. That is across the board on all social platforms, and as well as my last name. You can get Guelory Brutus. So if you, I'm not sure there's too many Guelories out there, but maybe there is.
It's the only
But
one I know, but that doesn't mean there's
exactly.
no one else.
So anyone that want to connect with me, you can connect with me on Instagram, and you can also go to my website. It actually details my phone number and email there, and a couple of other information, which is www.buildyourown.narrative.com. So can't wait to connect with you and have a lot of opportunities and share it with you and growing together with you.
Yes, I love it. I love everything you shared. Before we wrap this up, are there any last pearls or gems you would like to share with us?
Um, you know, I will probably just say this. When it comes down to having to follow one's purpose
Uh-huh.
and cultivating a brand around that, you have to recognize that two things matters the most. Your ability to stay put
Hmm.
in your mission and your ability to communicate that to other people. And so that's how you get to ignite your vision.
That's so funny. It's kind of like be still and we want to do everything, but sometimes
As
it's just like you stay put.
you stay put.
Yeah,
Because you'll get to able to think about the mission and vision and then share it with other people. And that's how you'll get to ignite it. So
that is awesome. I love it. Thank you for that last gem. Thank you. It was so
thank
much
you so much.
fun.
This was almost always a great opportunity to connect with you. So much fun that I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for making the space and giving me the platform to be able to
Of
also
course.
share my story. So I'm excited. I also want to share that you're going to be a speaker at Ignite the Vision Night in
Okay.
December 14th, and I am so glad and so excited to have you on. So anyway, this is also me taking the time to give you your flowers and can't wait to see you do your thing.
Thank
So
you.
thank you again for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time to share your insights, your experiences, so that other entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs in the nonprofit area, can feel inspired and have some more tools for success. So thank you. Thank you for your time. And thank you in advance for having me on December 14th. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Take care, Bev.
Yes. Let's see here. Uh, hmm. Oh, here we go.